Good afternoon. Welcome everybody to this online meeting on photonics for structural health monitoring. Welcome to this series of online meetings that we organize within the EPIC framework to discuss about the different new developments, also to talk about the challenges and needs on the industry, and to understand what is needed to go on in different technologies. And the topic for today is structural health monitoring. So fiber sensing is always a topic that is important for the EPIC community, different developers of solutions, of components, fiber elements, and different applications. So we have early this year a meeting in industrial fiber sensing. Now it's more focusing structural health monitoring, and we will have more events in the future that I will highlight during my welcome words. So as I mentioned, welcome everybody, and I hope you will enjoy the meeting. Just a few words for the ones that are not familiar with EPIC. So this is what is our consortium, more than 800 members, companies related with photonics technologies from the different point of view, manufacturing, R&D, design, the development of components or solutions, integrators, users. So I'm very happy to represent all this community, and our goal as EPIC members is to support them and trying to help them to sustain the photonics business in Europe. As part of Epic staff, this is some of the activities that we offer to our members and the benefits. So we offer them access to market reports and markets analysis from different experts in different fields. We cover from quantum to vision technologies, laser technologies, fibers, and fiber sensing as well. We also help our members with access to markets. We support in the human resources activities. We have a portal, Jofin Photonics, where they can advertise their open positions, and we also make LinkedIn posts to promote the positions in the different members. We also help with investment activities. We do a lot of meetings to help startups to connect with venture capital companies, to investors, and also help big companies to acquire small companies that could be interesting for increasing the portfolio of the different technologies. We support with the technological request in case somebody is interested in a new solution, a new component for their development. We can connect our members with the right companies, and we do networking activities like this one, for example, an online meeting where we talk about technology, we discuss about the developments, but we also try to have the right people in the room so they can connect and they can find new opportunities of collaboration, new partnerships, and of course, new business opportunities as well. So we have a lot of events, as I mentioned, and I encourage you to go to our website to have a more clear view of what's happening next. So we will have still some physical meetings before the end of the year. Next week, during Semicon Europe, we have an event in microelectronics and photonics, and we will be again at Compamed Medica in Düsseldorf, where we will have also a tech watch on photonics technologies for medical applications. We will have also a specific meeting on solutions for cancer pathology, therapy, and surgery at Gustave Roussy Cancer Center in Paris, where we will bring medical doctors to the room to talk with the photonics community about what is needed, what is next, what will be the interesting solution for the future. And of course, we will be present in San Francisco in Photonics West. So we will have different activities during the show, and I encourage you to go to our site to see the different lunches, receptions that we will have during the meeting. And of course, also we combine with online meetings. Before the end of the year, we still have some opportunities for you to talk about human resources in the work group meeting, to understand the role of the people operations in M&As, also to talk about photonics market trends, to work with the sustainability workshop in case this is something interesting for your company, and of course on online meetings on displays, on photonics forming space, and components for ultrafast lasers. So as I mentioned, I encourage you to check if any of these topics is interesting for you and to benefit for the technological discussion. Regarding future events, and as I understand this could be interesting for most of you, next year I want to highlight this meeting we will have at Airbus facility in Hamburg, where we will talk about optical sensing and fiber sensing, with, of course, a strong focus in aerospace applications, but we will also cover other topics, other developments. So that will be very interesting, I'm sure, for most of you meeting. And if you are interested in participating and or even presenting, please feel free to come back to me and we can discuss the opportunities in this meeting May 26, Hamburg, 19 and 20. So we will wait for you there in Airbus facilities. And we can go now with the meeting today. So as I mentioned, fiber sensing and sensing is a very interesting topic, and we will focus on today in solutions for structural health monitoring. This is a summary, a slide that we will also include in the website after the meeting of the different companies registered for this event. So there was a topic with high interest in integrators and users, of course, also companies developing components, equipment manufacturers, service providers, companies developing software and design. So it's interesting to have this overview of all the companies that registered to our event and how they structure themselves into this supply chain. So I hope the discussion will be interesting for everybody. And well, we always have sponsors that it's very important to have the support to organize these kind of meetings. And in this case, I want to say thank you to Fraunhofer, IPMS, the center in Germany for their support in this meeting. And I think Tilo is around there. So perhaps
Yes.
You can present a couple of slides about your solutions for the topic of today, that is structural health monitoring.
Yes, I can take over.
You can share the screen then.
Yeah. Moment. Okay, you see something?
Still loading. Now we see not in full screen mode yet.
Moment.
And now we see also the notes. So, okay, now it's working.
Okay, so yeah, thanks for introduction. I'm Thilo Sandner. I'm with Fraunhofer IPMS, Institute for Photonic Microsystem, located in Dresden in Saxony, in eastern part of Germany. Or we at IPMS, moment. So, okay. In Dresden is the center of semiconductor industry in Europe, probably one of the most important semiconductor center, and we have a history now of 20 years in photonic microsystems. We're running here in Dresden two clean rooms. One is on 200 millimeter MEMS and MOEMs and micro displays, and 300 millimeter wafer fab for micro and nano electronics. And in terms of photonic microsystems, I focused on some application which might be interesting for structural health monitoring. And for moment, oh, sorry, moment, I have to was ein. So, okay, I continue answering. It was my mistake. So, okay, in terms of photonic microsystems, which can be potential of usage for structural health monitoring, I have to mention our technologies for MEMS scanning mirrors. They are interesting for several LIDAR applications, like in automotive, in safety technologies, and also in aerospace technologies. They are proven in for reliability, for especially for automotive LIDAR, and we can imagine to use that fast scanning devices for several LiDAR-based safety technologies, also for structural health monitoring of industrial plants or from buildings, bridges, something like else. For the MEMS scanning mirrors, we have a wide variety of solution, from 1D, 2D translational mirrors, resonant up to 100 kilohertz, or quasi-static or vectoral scanning up to 2 kilohertz. Typically electrostatic driven. Magnetic is also possible. They are especially good for fast scanning with a large variety of parameters, especially good optical planarity. And also this MEMS scanner technology by side LiDAR, it it's useful for several spectroscopic applications in NER and especially in mid-infrared spectral region. For MER spectroscopy, I have to mention our MEMS-based tunable quantum cascade lasers, which can emit in the range from 3 to 11 micrometer, and they are especially interesting for remote monitoring of low concentration of gases or liquids, or like remote monitoring of chemical plants or pipelines, or detection of explosives. And also in terms of fiber networks, which are especially suited for structural health monitoring. I like to present also our work in integrated photonics and silicon photonics. We have our silicon nitride waveguide platform, which is used to build up optical fiber sensors, which are interesting for chemical and biosensing application. And also we combine our MEMS technologies with silicon nitride platforms on PIC. This PIC and fiber sensors are quite interesting, I think, for with a lot of potential for structural health monitoring, because this MEMS on PIC can add additional functionality. We are easily to develop phase shifter and modulators on based on this technology. They can add cryptographic functionalities in these networks, and they can be used for several sensoric applications. So, and our competencies in my group, so-called active micro-active optical sensors and components on systems. We are focusing on design and developing of such MEMS scanning devices. Electrostatic, electromagnetic actuation is possible. We do also pilot fabrication for application-specific solutions, and our competences in integrated photonics you see under lower right figure example of a MEMS on PIC for optical phase modulator, phase shifter, which the advantage of this integrated photonics is that it is very low power consuming and high frequent, and you can build up quite complex MEMS-based PIC devices on this technology, which can be used for fiber networks. Our competences is not only MEMS design and fabrication. We have also the facility to build up complete systems and doing optomechanical microassembly and module design application specific. And yeah, this brings me to the end. I think Fraunhofer IPMS could be a good partner for photonic microsystem developments, also for specific solutions for structural health monitoring. Yeah, our contact data you see here. Yeah, brings me to the end. Thanks for your attention.
So thank you very much, Tilo. Thank you very much for presenting all your capabilities here. And I encourage you to ask them if you are interested in discussing more in detail.
Yeah.
So we can go now with the agenda. And we have presentations from a great set of speakers, different point of view, different technologies as well, and also different parts in the supply chain regarding the companies. And we will start with a presentation on photonics and structural health monitoring on wind turbines to talk about the challenges and opportunities. And it's a pleasure to have Tiago Paixão, blade features engineer and sensing systems model owner at Siemens Gamesa Renewable Energy Blades. So Tiago, the floor is yours. You can share your screen. And Tilo, you should stop sharing because we see your email.
Yeah.
So, Tiago, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
Yes, Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. Let me just steal the screen. Okay, can you see my presentation or the notes?
Loading. Yeah, now we see. So the floor is yours to go.
Okay, super. Thank you very much. So today I'm here to talk a little bit about photonics, SHM, and how these two areas can be used in wind turbines and what are the main challenges and opportunities that we have. Before I jump to the important and interesting thing, let me present myself. I'm Tiago Paixão, model owner for blade sensing systems inside Siemens Gamesa. I'm based in Vagos, Portugal, where we have this beautiful wind turbine that you see on the right. I'm part of the wind power business unit, more specifically the features team. And our team is focused on designing and implementing sensing systems for wind turbines control, safety, and structural health monitoring. So who is Siemens Gamesa? Siemens Gamesa is a leading global provider of wind power products and service solutions. We are number one in the offshore market. We have a very strong onshore platforms as well, with service integrated for optimal performance. We are 100% owned by Siemens Energy, and the company was founded in April 2017 as a merger of Siemens Wind Power and Gamesa from Spain. Our headquarters are based in Zamudio, Spain as well. Some key facts and figures. Last year we had installed more than 148 gigawatts of power globally. We had an annual revenue of 10 billion euros, and today we have order backlog of more than 37 billion euros as well. And let's now talk about SHM, Blades SHM, and what we have been doing and what actually the industry has been doing, not only Siemens Gamesa. On our portfolio, we have two of the most or the biggest wind turbines in the market for both onshore and offshore. On onshore, we have the platform SG 7.0 with a rotor diameter of 170 meters. And in offshore, we have the SG 14 to 360D platform, which has more than 236 meters of rotor diameter. These giants of the land and sea can have towers with height up to 215 meters above sea level. And usually we have more than 400 sensors per turbine. So as you can imagine, such big structures and machines need to be monitored, especially its structural integrity, from manufacturing stages to operation in field. Based on this information, you can already anticipate why we need SHM solutions, but let me reveal a little bit more about what we do and show you some examples. So blades are one of the most exposed components on a wind turbine. They face fatigue, lightning, ice, erosion, which make them highly susceptible to failures. Thus, bringing SHM is really important because we can extend blades lifetime, enhance overall safety of the wind turbine, and lower costs associated with maintenance. And finally, as you can see on this picture, we don't want this to happen, so we can act proactively when we have SHM systems and detect early damages and avoiding this type of situations. The application of SHM onto blades might look very straightforward and simple, but there are several challenges we need to overcome and mitigate before we can successfully implement SHM. We need technologies able to survive adverse conditions, as I mentioned before. UV, ice, and lightning are very important conditions that we need to survive. The integration of such systems, it sometimes is very complex and may compromise the structural integrity of our blades, so we need to take care of that as well. We need to avoid electromagnetic interferences, noise, signal degradation, to have reliable data. The systems also need to be easy to maintain and inspect. Otherwise, our colleagues from service will have a very difficult task in hand or even impossible depending on the conditions that they face in field. A very important aspect is also the multiplexing capabilities, because if we have the more hardware we install inside blades, the more complex the cable routing becomes and installation. So it's very important to have systems with this feature. And finally, and probably the most important one, it's the cost. When implementing these systems at large scale, we have to have a cost-efficient system, because having hundreds or even thousands of sensors on a wind turbine or a wind farm, we have to have cost-efficient systems. Otherwise, we will have a poor business case, and we will see a lot of resistance coming from many different stakeholders. Now that I've put out there what are the main challenges we have when implementing SHM, how exactly do we think that you can help us, Photonics industry can help us? So basically, I will divide this answer in 3 areas. The first one is in loads and vibration area, and more specifically by using optical fiber sensors, which play a crucial role here. We can have strange sensors, extensometers, accelerometers, but going a little bit away from fiber optic sensors, we can also have laser vibrometers, which are also very interesting for our applications. The second area is acoustic data. We can go for acoustic sensors, which are basically microphones, or acoustic emission sensors, which are really good for local monitoring of composite structures. And finally, vision-based systems. In the wind industry, this is really important, because by using cameras, either on the visible or infrared ranges, we can avoid visits to turbines, and therefore decrease the costs associated with maintenance checks. Having these 3 areas in mind, what we ask to our potential suppliers and partners is to create systems that are small and durable, so that we can easily install them during our blades manufacturing and have a very resistant product in field, of course. To have multiplexing capability, as I already mentioned before, we need to have cost-efficient products. Another very important thing that we usually ask is to have smart interrogators or acquisition systems in general, not only interrogators, because we want to have high-speed systems and real-time data acquisitions. And of course, and following the most recent technological trends, we want systems capable of integrating AI and data fusion technologies to support integrating digital twins and AI diagnostics. Finally, we have this question: what can Siemens Gamesa do for you? I don't know if you already know what we do, but we manufacture blades, right? And not just a few blades, we manufacture a lot of blades. So we can act as a test bed for you for SHM systems. Depending on our needs and interests, we can collaborate together. We can install many sensors on prototype blades and test them on a full-scale test rig, and validate your systems on real case scenarios. So that's it from my side. Thank you for your attention. I will leave my contacts in this slide as well. And if you want to discuss any topic in particular, please reach out to me, and I will gladly discuss it with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thiago. So we have now time for questions. So I encourage you to raise your hand and make your question directly to the speakers. In this case, Thiago, you can also use the chat that is available in the lower menu. So please, we have time for questions for Thiago. Yeah, Ashwin.
Hello. Hi, Diego. Thank you for the very nice presentation. Very interesting. One thing that I'm very curious about is with regards to structural health monitoring in general, or maybe photonic based structural health monitoring for wind turbines. Are there any regulatory guidance, something like this, available that you are aware of in the wind industry?
Yes, we have the IEC standards. We can follow. I don't know any I can't remember the specific IEC standards we use for sensors, but we have many standards to comply with. Most of them are usually related to lightning in general. So to avoid lightning strikes getting flashed over to sensing systems. That's one of the main standards we follow. I don't know if I answered your question, but yeah.
That's good. Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
Thank you.
Another question from Eladio from Matidia.
Yes, hello, Tiago. You said that you might be interested in incorporating some kind of SHM diagnostics based on laser Doppler vibrometry. We do manufacture laser Doppler vibrometers. So how do you see this kind of use case?
Today, I don't think we use a laser vibrometer in fields for as a series product, but it's very interesting if we could try to see if this type of systems are perform well in a prototype environment, especially for validating blades. We usually over instrument our prototype blades with many different sensors, and not only to validate the sensors, but mostly to validate the blade itself. And having these high accuracy systems is always interesting and adds information, do not compete with others. So it's always good to have it. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And we have another question from Dimitrios from ANSYS.
Hello. Quick question from my side is, do you have any simulation tools that you do any simulation on mechanical parts of the blades, or regarding the sensors, if you do any simulations to optimize your sensors? Is there, is simulation part of your work?
It is. Thank you for the question. And it's very interesting because we don't use actually simulation tools to optimize the sensors, but rather to optimize their position inside the blade. So we basically model the blade and we simulate the conditions of the blade and then adapt the sensor's position to it. Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dimitrios. I have also one curiosity about the chirography that you mentioned that can be interesting to measure the wrinkles, defects in the composite, and so on. But do you see the application more in like the manufacturing plant during the manufacturing process, or do you see also potential for the measurement in the field that perhaps can be a little bit tricky with this kind of system?
Yes, exactly. Choreography, it's a very good technology, but deploying it in field, it's really difficult due to many different reasons. One is vibration, the other one is the dust and the environment in general. So I would say that it's more indicated for prototype level testing.
Do you use it nowadays at Siemens Gamesa? Is a technology that you have, or is like an idea for the future?
We have tested it. I'm not sure if we are still using it, but we have tested it. Yes.
Okay. Good. So thank you for your answer. I don't know if there is any other question, final question. If not, we thank again Tiago for the presentation and thank you for sharing these challenges, opportunities, sharing your email address so everybody interested can reach you afterwards for further discussion.
Thank you.
So thank you, and we can move to our next speaker. So we change a little bit the topic. We continue talking about sensors for SMH applications, but in this case, Andreas Theodosiou, CEO of the company Lumos Drive, is going to talk about the embedded sensors in both manufacturing with application in structural health monitoring. So Andreas, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Adriano, for the introduction. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yeah, everything good.
So, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the introduction. So again, my name is Andreas Theodosiou. I am the founder and the director of the company Lumoscribe. Today I will share some of our work regarding the project BioStruct, which is focused on the integration of optical fiber sensors into and biocomposite materials for load monitoring and structural health assessment. And specifically, I will highlight the progress we made in the boat manufacturing use case. So a few words about the Lumoscribe. Lumoscribe was established in Cyprus in 2018, and we specialized in fiber optic components development for sensing and fiber laser applications. Over the years, our team has grown organically, bringing together our expertise in optical design, femtosecond laser fabrication, material processing, and sensor integration. And we are also actively involved in several national and European research and development programs, such as EIC Pathfinder, Horizon Europe, where we contribute our expertise in photonics, component design, and system integration. The BioStruct project address the need for sustainable manufacturing of structural components using bio-based fiber reinforced composites. It is a part of the Horizon Europe Cluster 4 Twin Transition Program on high precision and complex product manufacturing. So the project aims to demonstrate that bio-based fibers composites can be used not only for aesthetic or low load parts, but also for structural, heavier structural components, for example, like rotor blades or marine hulls. And our contribution revolves around embedding smart photonic sensors into this structure, make them capable for safety accuracies and predictive maintenance. So conventional composites today mostly rely on carbon and glass fibers, and around 80% of these materials are manufactured outside of Europe, which that introduce several issues, supply chain dependency, difficulty in recycling synthetic composites, and of course, environmental impact, both during the production, but also at the end of life of this material. So the push toward the bio-based alternatives is not only an ecological issue, but it's also strategic for the European manufacturing autonomy. So bio-based composites use natural fibers such as hemp and flax combined with bio-based resins. In Europe, production capacity already exists. We produce about 150,000 tons of hemp annually, and most of the flax we use is locally sourced, around 80%. However, there is a key challenge with these fibers. The natural fibers vary significantly in dimensions, density, and mechanical strength. So this variability leads to inconsistent performance and limits their use in structural applications. So therefore, we need to control the draping and the orientation of the fibers during the layup, model the variability in mechanical properties, and monitor the strain and load responses in real time to validate that performance. This is where the embedded sensors like fiber bar gratings play a crucial role. The project BioStruct runs from January 2024 until December 2026. There are 10 partners from 6 different countries with a total budget of around 8 million, coordinated by the Profactor in Austria. And the main objective of this project is to develop accurate draping process that ensures controlled fiber alignment, create a data-driven material model that account for the natural variability of hemp and flax fibers, and integrate nanostructure and bio-based sensors, including our optical fiber bar gratings for real-time load monitoring. The ultimate goal is to demonstrate that biocomposite can replace synthetic ones or at least be equivalent in small-scale structural parts while meeting industrial reliability standards and attempting to automate to the possible the overall manufacturing procedure, which at the moment it is heavily human operated process. So 2 large demonstrators are being developed under this project. The first one is 6 to 8 meters wind turbine blade, and the second one is a 6-meter laser boat hull. Both demonstrators will integrate bio-based materials, advanced manufacturing, and embedded sensors technologies. And one of the key challenges that we had at the beginning, I believe the same issue sharing with all kind of composites, it was how to import the fibers in the composites and maintain their integrity, especially of the fiber connectors after the lamination, and also how the optical fibers to be mechanically integrated in these materials. So for that reasons, we spend a lot of time, trials, testing, and we tested different types of fibers, including ultra thin fibers, which with diameters less than 60 microns on diameter. And at the moment, we are in a very good place to achieve a successful rate of higher than 98% on manufacturing without to destroy the fiber connectors. So from the slides, I'm not sure if can see my mouse. Yes, from the slide, you can see the sensor responses in tensile and vibration. So on tensile for different samples, we found sensitivity between 2.1 up to 2.3 picometers per Newton with a total material elongation of around 0.5%. We also performed some Fourier analysis with the vibration of the systems to identify the natural frequency of the composite samples. And of course, time-dependent wavelength tracking shows an excellent correlation with the applied load circles. So these results confirm that the FPGs maintain signal integrity and mechanical bonding after the lamination, which is demonstrating that optical sensors can be reliably integrated in this kind of materials. The next step of this process is our attempt for, as I said before, to automate this overall manufacturing process, and we are working towards an automated dabbing using a robotic tape roller, minimizing to the possible the human intervention and ensuring the reproducibility of these composites. The process, of course, it is supported by image-based process integrated into the layup head to monitor the fiber orientation and ply placement in real time. Meanwhile, the fiber brag rating sensor encapsulated with a protective layer will provide in situ feedback during and after the layup to verify correct dropping and detect any early mechanical anomalies. So to conclude, the BioStruct project illustrates how photonics and biocomposites can converge to create the next generation of sustainable smart structure. So by embedding these FPG sensors to the bio-based laminates, we enable continuous monitoring from production to operation, a key step toward predictive maintenance and better safety. The next step, as I said before, is to automate the dabbing and sensor placement process and to enhance the reproducibility and prepare for a larger scale manufacturing. Again, the project BioStrike is co-funded by the European Union under the Horizon Europe Cluster 4 Twin Transition Program. And thank you for your attention, and I will be happy to take some questions.
Thank you very much, Andreas. So again, we have time for questions. So you can raise your hand. Yeah, Aswin.
Hello, hi again. So very interesting, once again, very interesting presentation. My question is regarding the readiness level of this technology that you described within this project. What would you say is the maturity level of it? Is it something that's meant for a real implementation right now, or is it in the process of development?
Yes, actually, the goal by the end of this project, so in 1 year and something, it to be reached TRL 8 or close to 9. So all the industrial partners were working on making these materials at least having similar mechanical strength with glass to be able to reach these high levels of maturity.
Good.
Yep.
Any other question? Yeah, Christina.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I do have a question. Is this biocomposite expected to last as long as the carbon and fiber composites?
Yeah, this is something that we need to investigate the long-term integrity of this material, because it's quite new materials. So we really push the limits to make these materials appropriate for this. But this is something which at the moment need to study further to accelerate and understand what are the long-term survivability, let's say.
Expectations.
The good thing is that it's really recycled, so the same materials can be used and reproduced, and with the automated process, with the robots and the robotic arm, it can make the overall manufacturing process really cost effective. But again, it is a project which is in the middle, so
Yeah, I saw the hand from Clive. Not sure if he has a question. If not, I have a question, because you mentioned that for the next step, the draping and sensor placement. But do you expect different challenges from the two use cases, from the blades and from the boats? Or do you think the potential challenges can be similar because the materials could be also similar in both cases, but perhaps not the shapes? So I thinking, do you expect different challenges coming from the two use cases?
yes, actually, it looks similar cases, but it's completely different, because for the boat, it seems that more loads are applied, or the boats need to consider it's a water environment, salty environment, so need to consider a lot of different parameters. It seems that at least from our partners, which are working or manufacturing these motor blades, it's a more straightforward recipe how to make this, and especially for the small scale one, is not a big challenge as it is with the boat. But to be honest, I am not the most appropriate person to ask to answer the challenges that we face in structural of these structures.
Yeah, I was just curious, thinking also in the next stage for your sensors, if you think that the situation will be similar for the two cases, or perhaps you need to do a different approach depending on if you go to the boat or to the blade.
Yeah.
Good. I don't know if there is any other final question for Andreas.
Could I just ask a question? Sorry,
Yeah, Clive.
I just found my unmute button. Andreas, thank you for the presentation. Question I have is, with the layout process you described, could that be used in a resin infusion process used on small boats and larger boats, specifically into resin infusion?
Yeah, actually, the idea with this process is to have of controlling the orientation of this natural fiber. So to have uniform distribution all the time, the same uniformity, which somehow affect the mechanical properties of this composite. So these fabrics, let's say, will be used later, or the infusion process with the same way that they're gonna do. So we try to automate the overall procedure as much as possible, but unfortunately, we cannot completely automate the whole process from the beginning until the end 100%. So did I answer your question or?
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, thank you for that, Andres.
Good. So if there is no more questions, we thank again Andreas for presentation and being with us this afternoon. So thank you, Andreas. And good luck with the next steps of the project, as always. So we can move to our next speaker, and it's a pleasure to have Ashwin Haridas. You already met him making some questions today. Team leader and global focal point of structural health monitoring at the company Testia, and he's going to present the perspective from a last mile expert. So Ashwin, thank you for being here, and the floor is yours.
Yep, thank you so much, Antonio, for the introduction as well. And I'm pretty sure you're able to see my screen, as Zoom tells me that it is shared.
Everything good.
Excellent. Thank you once again. My name is Ashwin Haridas. I work at Testia, which is a 100% Airbus daughter company based in Bremen in Germany. And what I would like to talk to you about today is a perspective from a last mile expert when it comes to implementing fiber optics for structure health monitoring. Just a short introduction to Testia. We have the tagline invisible testing, visible innovation, fundamentally a NDT, non-destructive testing based company. So we are sort of built out of Airbus to perform structure integrity tasks, mainly focused around non-destructive testing. So a lot of the penetrant testing, magnetic testing, ultrasound, and shearography, and so on and so forth are part of our portfolio. And we have about 30 years of experience, mainly from the aviation industry, let's say, in performing these inspections at different scales. With regards to our one key USP is our footprint. Since we are providing these services, entity-based and structure integrity-based services, we have tried to diversify our footprint so that we can meet the global requirements. And you probably see that we have about 18 sites and so on and so forth, which gives us the necessary footprint to attack the global market. We have 4 different, so to say, business lines where we target different, let's say, target the world of structure integrity from different angles. So we look at training and certification as one of our business lines, inspection, which is basically a service business line. We have an engineering business line focusing on developing engineering tools for in-service inspection as well as for production inspection and so on and so forth. And finally, developing products and equipments. And structure health monitoring within the Testia portfolio comes under our engineering business line, where we are trying to provide these services, let's say, to customers worldwide. And some key activities that we perform in structure health monitoring, and maybe just to mention, we are not a sensor developer, nor are we end users. So we are somewhere in the middle. We act as an integrator, and we are working on a portfolio of different capabilities. So you see here, we call it our toolbox of sensor solutions that we bring with us when we go to different customers to understand the right pain points and then implement the sensors based on pain points. One of the key activities that we perform is we implement sensors. So this is a key point, especially when you consider 3,000 sensors on a structure. Sometimes it's hard to fathom the number and the need for having the right quality in that scale. And this is something that we are doing quite regularly. With regards to data analytics, we collaborate with the Airbus data analytics team, which means that we are developing tools and technologies that are um, uh, generating information from the data that we collect from sensors. We offer consulting services sort of to, create this end-to-end value chain of services. Predictive maintenance is one key topic that we have been working more and more on nowadays to generate this as part of our portfolio for different use cases. And one last point that we are quite constantly working on, in fact, it's a new offering from our side, is the topic of training. We have realized that with structure health monitoring, the need for market education and to have people educated hands-on with technology is very important. And I will speak about this also very soon in one of my next slides, but this is something as well we do. I have captured 2 slides to maybe talk about some of our offerings. One quite generic from SHM. I see a lot of names in the list of participants here who have worked with in the past. So I guess for some people it's quite a similar slide that you have seen before. But one of the things that we have realized over and over working with different end users is the aspect of integrated structure health monitoring. I think it was one of the epic events, in fact, in the past, where one of the phrases had popped up, which spoke about from plug and pray to plug and play. And I think we really resonate with that. And we realize that more and more end users realize that there is a need for integrating different sensing solution to mitigate their problems. So meaning one sensor doesn't solve everything. So to generate enough information, you need to have some sort of an integrated backend or integrated front end, depending upon your how you look at it. But the basic idea being for the customer having access to data, integrated data as soon as possible, so that you can convert that data into information. And in a lot of our cases, when we work with customers, we realize that this is something that people realize at a very late stage. And this is a lot of effort to synchronize data. I'm sure a lot of you know this. So this is one of our key and standard offering where we are providing these pre-integrated solutions, trying to integrate conventional sensing, fiber optics, MEMS sensing solutions, so wireless sensor networks and piezo sensors and so on and so forth, all together so that we are generating synchronized data. With regards to fiber optics, I think we are working sort of in extremes in most of our cases. So a lot of the applications that you see on the left side of the screen have something to do with aerospace. And when it comes to hydrogen and space applications and so on and so forth. So here we have been quite active for a lot of years now, implementing fiber optic sensors for cryogenic applications. So we have a lot of experience having long-term measurements of fiber optics, especially strain at 20 Kelvin or 4 Kelvin temperatures. So this way, we have sort of optimized the way in which we implement fibers in scale in order to meet these extremes. On the flip side, we also work with high temperature fiber use cases is relatively new. So we have some upcoming activities where we are looking at implementing fiber optic sensors for monitoring 1000 degrees Celsius and more for a brief period of time, and maybe even 700 degrees Celsius for a long-term inspection monitoring. And this is also an area where we are quite active on, and I think these extremes are suiting us a lot. And maybe also to mention, although we are an Airbus company, we are not only working with aerospace use cases, so we have use cases outside of aerospace, be it wind turbines, or be it marine, or be it infrastructure. And so here we are also actively implementing sensors, including fiber optics for monitoring loads and vibrations. And we are also trying to work together with a lot of end users to speed up the process in which we convert data to information. So we try our best to adapt solutions so that the information is generated as fast as possible. So my last slide, sort of like a future needs from our perspective, from an integrator's perspective. I try to put together some key points. I think it also resonates with some of the speakers who have spoke about fiber optic implementation previously. some of the things that we have realized working with end users is that there is a need for standardizing integration of fiber optics during manufacturing. This is quite critical because we have worked with large-scale carbon fiber composite manufacturers and so on and so forth, who have challenged the use of fiber optics within the manufacturing process because of warranty that they can offer, which sort of made our end users a little bit cautious when it came to implementing fiber optics integrated into manufacturing. So to have a high amount of reliability and to make sure that these are standardized is, I think, for us quite important. The topic of equivalence, and this is very important when it comes to NDT, and I guess everybody in the world of NDT speaks about probability of detection and some sort of an equivalence principle when it comes to comparing different inspection methodologies. And I think it is also important when it comes to fiber optic implementations in the long term to have some sort of a standardized equivalence approach where we are able to convince the end user that the measurements from the fiber optics are reliable and they can be validated and verified. And this sort of links 2 points on this slide. With regards to data analysis, I think it is very important. And what we have seen is that this transition from data to information is quite a critical step in the future. A lot of end users require us to generate information as fast as possible. Let's say shape information. Maybe it's specific to a specific threshold. I don't know, but these kind of information generation from fiber optics is a key observation that we have realized. Ease of integration, cost benefit. I think these are topics also Tiago spoke about previously, and this is also quite important when it comes to large-scale implementation to understand the cost benefits, to understand how it is going to be when we are integrating on large-scale structures. And lastly, again, on the topic of training and education, we are working quite a lot with maintenance, repair, and overall, and sort of different entities to provide these trainings on site for engineers who are implementing structure health monitoring. And we have what we call the Structure Health Monitoring Academy that we have developed. We are providing training to end users working with technologies which are highly mature, so TRL9 and similar. And we really welcome collaboration on this topic because right now our training is limited to some of the high mature aerospace applications, and maybe training and education in fiber optics could be one of the topics that we can bring forth with this academy. Yeah, and last couple of points. We are completely open to identifying new technologies that can generate information as fast as possible, be it vibration, be it shape, be it acoustic, be it specific to gas sensing, and so on and so forth. Because for us, most of our customers would like to have information as easy and quickly as possible. We are able to provide, if needed, information regarding restrictions, like we work with different customers across industries. And there are different requirements that we have gathered over time, and we are happy to share this with prospects, for example, to understand what are the kind of technologies expected. We work a lot also with verification and validation. So we perform a lot of DO-160, military 810 testing, and so on and so forth for aerospace. We are happy to discuss this with anybody who is interested to validate and verify technologies for full-scale implementation. And like I said, we have the SHM training as part of our portfolio, and we are trying to reach out to a lot of interested individuals in SHM. We have our next training, in fact, in Bremen in December this year, so in a month. If anybody is interested, I can share more information, but this is something for the future, for the whole group, to maybe bring a more standardized education to the world. That was it. Thank you so much, and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ashwin, for a nice presentation. And we have, again, time for questions. I would perhaps start with a question because you mentioned thermography as a perhaps interesting technology. Where do you see potential for this kind of technology in structural health monitoring or sensing in general?
So essentially for us, thermography is something that we are using a lot for aerospace applications. So we have a lot of composite applications where we are using thermography for. But at the moment, it's really in a hangar setting, so to say, or it's on a part level that we are doing. And this we consider more as a non-destructive testing capacity or capability than a structure health monitoring capability. And we have some strict standards. So within aerospace, there are some strict standards when it comes to implementing thermography for composite applications, and we are following the standard essentially. So we are not developing anything new. We're just implementing the standards as it is described by Airbus and similar.
Okay. And another question is, it's interesting for me that you separate the predictive maintenance block, let's say, because at the end is, again, measuring something, perhaps to have an idea when it can fail in the future. But why do you have as a separate block? Is because it's a different approach in treatment, or what's your idea to have in a separate way?
Yeah, I think so as Testia, we come a lot from the structures world and not a lot from the systems world.
Mm-hmm.
And I see predictive maintenance more like a system of systems kind of an approach.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And when you look at data analysis and so on and so forth, I can imagine that you're generating structure information from even, let's say, a wind turbine, and that one wind turbine could be you're gathering information and you are performing some sort of an action based on the information that you've gathered. But for us, a lot of the times predictive maintenance come really, from a farm level. Let's say in case of wind turbines, where we are looking at how does a wind farm react. The same with aerospace, we are looking at a fleet level implementation when it comes to predictive maintenance, not on a tail level, not on one aircraft kind of a thing. So it's a little bit, separating the structures and the systems topic from my perspective.
Okay, good to understand. We have, again, time for questions. If you have any question for Ashwin. Yeah, Thiago, please.
Hi, thank you for the presentation, Ashwin. Very interesting. My question, maybe you cannot answer it today, but I understood that Testia works as a consultant, maybe, for OEMs. So basically, if Siemens Gamesa has an issue they want to solve, we can approach you and explain it, and you find the partners, or do you outsource the hardware and the partner is you?
Yeah, so basically what we have gained over time is really the experience working with different suppliers and so on and so forth. So we are sort of like the central point. So in a lot of the cases when you are approaching us, let's say, we are able to look at the problem statement and try to identify which kind of combination works the best for that specific problem statement. It's really a custom service that we offer. It's not standardized. In some cases it is standardized. We can, let's say, standardize it based on our previous experiences. But yeah, we do look at it case by case. And when you have a problem statement, what we try to do is to do what we call a weighted analysis, to look at the requirements, to look at the technologies, and to understand what combination of technology works the best. And then we look at it from a system level. How can we integrate everything together so that you are getting synchronized data in whatever form? So it could be at a very low frequency. It could be at a high frequency real-time data. I mean, then we have to look at it step by step. But yeah, we are available for the end-to-end discussion if you have any points that you want to bring up.
Okay, thank you.
We have another question from Christer, please.
Yes, thanks for your presentation. Interesting question from us. Where in what use cases do you really see that fiber optics measurement are most advantages? What problems are they solving that you can do in other ways?
So I think I have three in my mind right away when you ask me this question. So I'll probably stick with the three. So I think I did mention briefly in my presentation with regards to cryogenic use cases. Being in aerospace, one of the topics that we see a lot is cryogenics, be it space applications for satellites, for hydrogen and oxygen storage tanks for rocket ships and so on and so forth. So we see a lot of these structures being optimized, let's say, to to reduce weight and so on and so forth. So there's a big requirement from the structure side for in-service inspection, and this is where I see a huge potential for fiber optics, especially being adapted very easily for such cryogenic conditions. And we have also validated it ourselves in a lot of the cases, so we know that this is it's a good working solution. The challenge that we see in this case is really the scale. So you can do it in a manufacturing site. I can do it with a pressure vessel. Now, how do I now scale it to the entire manufacturing? So if Ariana Group is manufacturing tanks, n number of tanks per month, how do I then integrate the fiber optic sensors into n tanks on a monthly basis? So this scaling is one of the challenges that we see in the cryogenic side. On the other side, as I also mentioned during the presentation, is really the high temperature area. And when we speak about high temperature, this is, here we are speaking about strain measurement, temperature measurement, acoustic measurement, and all of those. So the entire broad portfolio of measurements that we can do with fiber optics, and distributed or fiber Bragg based, and all of those are open in this case. And on the high temperature side, there's a lot of requirements when it comes to implementing such solutions. Let's say even in hydrogen, we have a topic of ammonia cracking, let's say, for example, as part of the process of transporting hydrogen and then using reviving hydrogen for use cases. And these kind of processes are operating at really high temperatures, and these processes have to be monitored because there are structures are also undergoing such high temperature processes, and it is also a little bit let's say unsafe to implement sensors which are electric based and so on and so forth because of hydrogen and so on. And there as well we see a lot of use cases. And the third is regarding multiplexing, I think was also previously mentioned, and quick information generation, for example shape measurements. And this is something that we have also realized over the years. It's getting more and more prominent in our working day to day. So we are implementing shape sensors for monitoring different structures like the wing. And we see that these shape sensors, they have to be, of course, qualified to make sure that the data generated is correct. But of course, then implementing it on a large aircraft or a aircraft wing, which is several meters of sensing lines operating at high accuracies and also generating relatively high frequency data, let's say about 100 hertz and so on and so forth, is something that we foresee in the near future. So yeah, these are three domains where we are quite active, and we are, since last 5 years, we have constantly some projects on these topics.
Thank you.
Good. So if there is no more questions, so we thank again Ashwin for the nice presentation and for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashwin. So we can move to our next speaker, and you see already presentation from Christer Frott. He's the head of R&D at the company Proximion, and he's going to present the continuous chip Bragg ratings from structural monitoring. So Christer, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here this afternoon.
Thank you. I hope the sound is good and everything.
Everything
Otherwise,
good.
Great. So I'm more going to discuss a concept here where we are using a product that we have large volume of, but that can also potentially be used for structural monitoring, and that's what we call this continuous chirp Bragg ratings. And you can see on the picture here, you see actually a bobbin here with 10 meters of grating that are continuous Bragg rating, where we slowly change the Bragg wavelength along the fiber. So nu ska vi se how I get next slide here. Okay, so I don't, maybe all of you know about Proximion, so I shouldn't say too much, but we are headed in Kista, north of Stockholm, and we have been around for quite a long while at a time. We started with like telecom, fiber Bragg rating for telecom. And then since like 12 years, we have also been working with sensing, mostly for thermal sensor, but also some for strain measurements. And we have our own clean room where we manufacture the ratings. So and yeah, we delivered it as 50,000, but I don't think actually that's enough of them. We're also fully owned by the Hexatronic group. So but we are quite what I should say, we are almost like our own company. We are quite self controlled, but we are fully owned. So that's good if you want to have a secure financing. So then what is a continuous short brag rating? Yeah, this is very, maybe I can get, yeah, this is a very rough picture. You have like the brag wavelength changing from, in this example, from a long wavelength to a short wavelength, and this is used in a product that we have been that we are selling for telecom. You use this because in a telecom system you get dispersion in the fiber, and that will widen your optical pulses. So for like 10 gigabit per second, it will be maybe after 100 kilometers. But then we send them in, and the red part of the pulse will get the short path here and be reflected, but the bluer part will be more delayed. So in that way we can compensate for the dispersion in the fiber. That's what you call dispersion compensation module. So this is the product we have been making for 20 years, and we are like sold 40,000 of them in the field. So it's very mature. And as far as I know, we are the only company in the world who can make this, because the tricky thing is not the concept, but to keep the quality, because any error here along the grating of more than a few degrees, that a few nanometers, will end up in that you distort the signals and you don't get the result you want. Sorry. So we use them for dispersion compensation, but you can also yeah, we can make them up to 30 meters and also very wide in wavelength. So and of course it's a bit difficult. It's a very long brag rating. I would say most people think of maybe 5 millimeters or maybe 10 millimeters. So it's a bit special, but it's necessary to do this to have this continuous dispersion compensation. But you can also use it as a strain or temperature sensor. And you can use a sort of interrogator. Then you can use, I mean, we are manufacturing, would say, integrator that measure the reflected spectrum. And you can also use like something like an OFDR, where you actually also measure the phase response. So in this case, I compared if you can only use light intensity spectrum, that gives you much a lower cost of the interrogator, and also you are not sensitive to any like disturbance along the fiber here. Yeah. The phase sensitive integrated is typically like an optical frequency domain reflectometry, and then you have also an interferometer here. So this is a part of interferometer. It's a very great accurate measurement, but sensitive. It's not very maybe robust, I would say, and also quite expensive. Then here we did a test where we took one of these gratings and glued it onto a carbon beam, and then we loaded the carbon beam here at 3 points. So this is a very amply. I mean, this is the principle of the load of the beam. Of course, it was not deflected this much, and then we looked at the unstrained, and then we applied the load and on the strained case. And then we show here that we quite well can calculate the strain profile here inside the beam, and also just using the reflectance data, we still get quite a good fit here compared to the phase data. So that means it's possible. So the OFDR also gives you, it gives the amplitude, but it also gives you like the phase derivative here, so you can see the shape here along the where we have this small maximum peak here. also to see at the thermal resolution, I took a 10-meter long continuous sharp fiber bragg grating, and I took a scalpella on the knife and then heated that. Along at one point of the fiber. And as you can see, you get quite a very local good sensitivity in position here. So if I really make a close up here, you can see from using full phase information, I can see it's like the width is 4 millimeters, and that's probably somewhat what actually heating was. And even from the reflection spectrum only, I still can like detect this peak quite well. So this is mostly to show that we have something that could be used for structural monitoring, and where you could like detect the very local things like local cracks or similar. That could be difficult if you have like discrete sensors. Yeah, my conclusions then is this is something that is could enable new solve problems where that there are no other solutions and you avoid these gaps. And also that you actually can use it with a more or less standard integrator. It should have a good spectral resolution, but that's available. And the good thing is that we are also already making this grating as a high volume product. So it's not that there's any problem scaling this. So that's what I had to. That was my message. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christer. So again, we have time for questions or comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andreas.
Yeah, hi. Very interesting presentation, and I really like this concept with chirp gratings, but I didn't really understand what is the sensing mechanism. I mean, how do you find the spatial information of the change?
Yeah, it's how should I put it? If you look here at the no, I'm now going to point in the right picture. If you look here at the spectrum, you cannot really see the exact position.
Yes.
But you know exactly how the grating is written, and also so actually it's in we actually, if you go down and check this reference here, so I mean the mathematics is shown there, how you calculate it. But I didn't include it here because I really had to remember all the details. But I think it also would take too much time. But it's a bit more complicated compared to discrete sensors to calculate the position and the strain here. But it's just it can be done. You have to integrate up the wavelength, so it's a bit more complicated.
Okay, and do you think? Sorry, a follow-up question.
Yeah, please, Andreas.
I think you comment at some point during your presentation that the interrogation unit it's much cost effective compared to normal fiber bragg gratings. Did I understand correct? Or
no, my point was it's like this, that you get the best result if you have a phase sensitive interrogator, but they are quite expensive, quite slow, and they're also very sensitive to like vibrations. If you're using this in a lab environment, that would be okay, but in a real environment, you typically have a lot of vibrations, and that tend to disturb this sort of integrator. But if you just look at the spectrum, you can use more like a standard integrator that just look at the reflected intensity of reflected light, and they are cheaper, much faster, and also much more robust.
Okay, clear. Thank you.
Good. Thanks for your question. I was maybe a bit unclear.
Another question from Christina.
Yes, I assume that this long grating is also sensitive to temperature, so shifting also
That's correct.
And how do you handle the thermal compensation?
Yeah, that's the most common way is to include both strain and temperature sensor. But it somewhat depends. Sometimes you have almost the same temperature on the whole structure, so you can just use the discrete temperature sensor. But we don't have any way to simultaneously read out the strain and temperature from the same fiber.
Okay, so you have to use two in parallel, one free from strain.
Yeah, that's correct. If
All
that
the
is
challenges of having a long free from strain fiber. Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of those, so I think we're quite successful. So I'm not that worried about that.
Okay. Good. Thanks.
Any other question? Yeah, Ashwin.
Thanks once again. Very interesting. Just curious about bending performance of such fibers or with these gratings. Is there losses due to bending? Is this something that you have characterized?
Of course, you if you have like micro bending, that could be a problem. This is quite small core. I mean, typically the fiber is not that bend sensitive. So we haven't seen that as a problem, but I would also say that this is, I mean, this was just demonstrations and it works nice here. So if you, for instance, integrate this into like some composite, I can't promise anything more than of course the fibers have a quite hard guided, so I don't expect the losses to be too much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I also have a doubt. Perhaps you mentioned, but I miss perhaps in the use of as a thermal sensor when there is a variation in the temperature, when you have a difference in the temperature. Does it mean that you have a difference, a change in the amplitude of the signal, or there is also a change in the width, the width that you mentioned here, that is these 4 millimeters?
Yeah, if you look here, this is the optical spectrum. And what you see here, when you heat it, you get like this very local shift here with the increased and decreased reflectance. So because a small part of the grating will shift to like longer wavelengths, so it will increase the reflectance for one part and then decrease the reflectance for another part. So that's why you see this like peak in the spectrum, and from this you can calculate the green curve.
Did you test reflectance from different temperatures to see what is the difference in the signal you receive back?
I mean, we do a lot of temperature. All our products are temperature cycle, but the only what happens is that you get a shift of the spectrum. So the spectrum will shift to longer wavelength with typically like 11 picometer per Kelvin. So otherwise, we don't see anything happening.
Okay. I don't know if there is any other final question for Krister. If not, thank you again for the presentation and for being this afternoon with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we can move to our next speaker. So we change a little bit the technology. We pass from fiber sensing to LIDAR. And it's a pleasure to have here Eladio Montoya, sales manager at the company Omatidia in Madrid. And he's going to present their technological solutions for predictive maintenance of bridges and viaducts. So Eladio, the floor is yours.
Yes. Hello. Am I sharing my screen?
Everything good, Eladio. Thank you.
You can see me. Okay. Thank you very much. So thank you to the organization of EPIC for this meeting and for inviting me. So I will talk about a contract that we had with the Spanish government. In fact, it's called CPP. It's a Compra Pública Precomercial, pre-commercial procurement. Public procurement. So it was a call from the government on technological solutions for predictive maintenance of bridges and viaducts. I need to show you all these logos of the government and European Union because it's funded by those agencies. So the final client was Adif. Adif is the owner of the Spanish railways, and we set up a consortium with these 4 organizations. So T-Wave, Universidad Politécnica de Madrid, Ines Ingenieros, and ourselves. And this was a project which is already close to an end. We are exploiting the data, and so I will share what we did. So first of all, our core technology is the first, to our knowledge, is the first instrument that combines a laser Doppler vibrometer with LIDAR and with a multi-beam laser. So instead of having just one laser that goes in and scans the surface to reconstruct the modal analysis, we have an array of 65 or 128 aligned lasers, and by tilting the head, the sensor head, we get the full field of view in a very fast and simple way. So we have super dense data sets, and that allows us for some applications which are interesting. Okay, so the core of our instrument is this chip that you're seeing here. It's instead of having just one interferometer in the sensor head, we have 65 or 128 interferometers in this photonic chip, which is 1 centimeter from side to side. And this is our core knowledge, and is the ground to a couple of international patents. And this makes the instrument very robust, very insensitive to temperature changes, to harsh environment, very compact and easy to use. So we can measure from the phase shift between the laser that we emit and the light that is reflected on the surface. We can extract 2 important pieces of information. One is the distance, the absolute distance, and the other one is the frequency, the vibration frequency, based on the velocity. So when does this instrument become more interesting? Mainly when there's the object that we're measuring is difficult to access, because you don't have any elevation means, or you don't want to use elevation means, because it's small and you don't want to add mass, because it's clean and you don't want to contaminate it, or it's contaminated and you don't want to touch it. When it's cold or hot, you don't want to stick anything. When it's at high voltage, same thing. When it's a critical piece of equipment and you don't want to stop it to install strain gauges or accelerometers. When you need so many measuring points that it becomes impractical to use contact sensors. Or, for example, when you are studying living organisms or pieces of art that you cannot touch. Okay, so this instrument has applications in many kind of fields. For example, here we see in aerospace structures. We see here this is a deflection, a torsional vibration mode of a wing of an airplane. You can use it for detection of defects in composites. You can use it for study of vibration and shock of electronics in under harsh environment, for structural health monitoring, of course, for car, automotive industry, NVH applications, high voltage, where you don't want to touch, biomechanics, and arts and heritage. So this project about SHM in viaducts. So this was a project funded by Adif, so the owner of the Spanish high-speed railways, not the trains, just the railways. And what we proposed was to install 4 of our sensor heads in the pillars of a viaduct which is in Córdoba, and looking towards the lower part of the deck. Okay. So the consortium that we built was taking care of different things. We took care of the sensor head. Destia took care of the communications of the data to a server, and also of the Ines engineers. They took in charge the powering electronics. So we placed an optical trigger 1 kilometer before and 1 kilometer after the train passes, so that we can save power. And then we had also the Universidad Politécnica de Madrid, who was in charge of the modeling. So these are the sensors hanging on the pillars of the bridge and looking towards the deck. We painted the lower parts of the deck with a strip of road paint, which has these glass beads to increase reflectivity of the laser, mainly in the last points, because the angle was so small. First of all, we protected it from birds, which is something important. Okay. And then we started collecting data, and we saw some things which are coherent. Is that when you measure the trains passing at the same hour of the day, you get the same data because the trains are configured in the same way. And when you measure in the same day trains at different hours, you get different spectra because the trains are configured in different ways. So different number of wagons, different number of, the locomotives are placed in different places. And then we compared with accelerometers, because the viaduct was also instrumented with accelerometers. Here you see in purple, you see our data, and in black you see the accelerometers. And what you can see is that the data are quite, the fit between both is quite good, except for this first one. And that was because we went afterwards and we saw that the accelerometer was not correctly stuck. Also, we calculated and we measured the deflection in real time of the central point of the deck of one of the decks when the train passes. So since it's a hyperstatic bridge, we see this kind of behavior. So before the train passes, the deck moves up, and then it moves down, and then it moves up again, and then down again. So the Universidad Autónoma Politécnica de Madrid, they calculated this behavior, and we measured it, and we got very similar results. Even we get this kind of noise, which is not really noise. It's really high frequency vibrations due to the shock induced by the train on the viaduct when it enters. So some other projects that we are working on, this, for example, for the City Hall of Amsterdam, they want to know if the quays are being damaged. The quay is not really like a river; it's more like an open duct. Okay, so the walls of the deck of the quays could collapse, could leak and start collapsing or moving or wherever. So they have a service of people who are inspecting this day by day. And what we propose is to install our instruments on top of a car and increase a lot the productivity of this kind of inspection by measuring the frequency spectra of the walls of the quays. And many more applications that we can think of. For example, some 2 weeks ago, there was a piece of information in the news in Spain that says that 1/3 of the dams in Spain could be damaged and require technologies to monitor them in real time. Also, arts and heritage, also gas ducts and power plants. So these are many open possibilities that exist. So thank you very much, and I think this is all from my side.
Thank you very much, Eladio. So we have now time for questions or comments. I can perhaps with a question about the installation in the case, for example, of the train. How critical is the location of the system to not be affected by the vibrations, but to be close enough to have a signal? Perhaps you can elaborate a little bit on it.
Yeah, so they are so it's like at 4 meters high, but just to avoid people going there and hanging around. So it's hung on the pillars. So the pillars are very stiff. The resonance peak is much higher than the one of the deck. So we have no problem about getting confused because of the instrument itself moving. No? We did have some problems with the last point of the deck because the angle is so skewed that you don't have any light reflecting back, and that's why we painted. Okay. Of course, if we hang the instrument a bit lower, then the angle would be more open, but then we would have problems of people vandalizing our instruments. So yeah, well, in practical terms, we can measure up to with no problem up to 60 meters in concrete, and the angles up to 70 degrees, something like that. Okay, but I mean, we have to. It's a case by case thing because it's very much depending on the reflectivity of the surface.
And you mentioned also at the beginning potential applications in high voltage. Which parameters will be measured in this case?
Well, in high voltage substations, they always have this zoom, this kind of low frequency noise that very often annoys the people living around. So we've done some projects about detecting where this noise is coming from, and since we have this very dense field of view, we can know each frequency where it's spatial coming from. So for the people who know how the transformers are built and that, they can know exactly where these humming is coming from.
So it's identifying the source of the noise.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, very good. I don't know if there is any other question for Eladio. Yeah, Ashwin.
Yeah, very interesting again. Just curious because we have used in the past some radio-based methods and so on and so forth. And I see your presentation. I'm wondering how much does so what are the factors that affect the measurement? So I assume that there's a dependence on weather situations and so on and so forth since it's laser-based.
No.
Okay.
The instrument is completely insensitive to stray light or ambient light. So it's more distance. We can measure in good conditions 50 meters or more, even if the surface, if you have a very shiny white surface. Angle, so it's basically distance, surface, and angle. That's basically it. Yeah.
Okay. And with regards to, let's say, if it's a foggy weather, or if it's rainy weather, and so on and so forth, would that?
I mean, it's protected. It's IP54, I think. But it doesn't matter if it rains or not. You can measure during the night, and it's completely insensitive to that because the light that you are shooting on the surface is modulated, and the rest of the light, all the stray light or ambient light, is not modulated. So we can perfectly distinguish one from the other.
But would there be scattering of light in this case, or no?
But it's a scattering of light which is not modulated. So we only detect modulated light.
I see. Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Any other final question for Eladio? Well, if not, thank you again for the interesting presentation, Eladio, for being here this afternoon. And we have our last speaker, so it's a pleasure to have the fantastic host we have in the meeting in 23 in Porto, HPK Fiber Sensing. We had a really nice meeting over there. Some of you were present already there. So it's a pleasure to have again Cristina Barbosa, Product Manager, Optical Business at the company HBK Fiber Sensing, as I mentioned, to talk about the FBG-based solutions for test measurement and monitoring. So Cristina, the floor is yours. And thank you for being here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me as well. And thank you for the introduction. Let me just make sure that I am presenting. So you see my screen? Okay,
Everything good.
Perfect. Okay, so what I plan to present today is what we have been doing as HBK fiber sensing on structural health monitoring. Of course, it makes sense as we are a company that develops and produces fiber vibrating based solutions for this type of applications, or for a broader type of applications of test and measurement, but monitoring is one of them. So fiber sensing was created in 2004. Maybe most of you already know fiber sensing, and our history had a milestone when we were acquired by HBM more than 10 years ago, and more recently we merged with Brule & Care, and that's how fiber sensing is presented to today's world as HBK fiber sensing. So we are located in Porto, where fiber sensing was born, and we are lucky to count on a global presence of HBK with many offices around the world, as well as distributors for our technology, not only fiber sensing, but throughout the whole HBK portfolio. I thought of giving a small introduction on the fiber vibrating technology, because I was not completely sure. I mean, I think that we have a wide range of attendees, some from the monitoring world, others from the photonics. So I thought that it would make sense to explain a bit what the fiber vibrating sensors are, because I think that this also supports on explaining then the application. The fiber vibrating measures on its principal strain and temperature. So this is the basic measurement on the fiber vibrating. But if we encapsulate it and create transducers around it, we can make other sensors for different measurements like displacement, tilt, acceleration, load, etc. This is similar for the other technologies and also for the fiber vibrating. So basically we use the fiber as the communication path as well as the sensing element. And we do that by inscribing this fiber vibrating on the core of the optical fiber that reacts to the incident light that is traveling through the fiber. And what it does is that it reflects a very narrow peak of the different colors of light that are going through the fiber, while the rest is transmitted. And the fiber vibrating reacts to strain and temperature, hence this is the core of the technology, by shifting the wavelength that is being reflected, and this is how we take measurements. And this brings us many benefits to the structural health monitoring applications. So one of them is the fact, and we have heard this already here today, the fact that we can multiplex easily, because we can create different sensors or have different sensors on the same line without interfering signals. Also having the possibility to have multi-purpose, so the sensing mechanism is the same for all the transducers, so we can have on the same line different types of sensors, and this can be very interesting to attain cost-effective solutions for the monitoring systems. Another interesting characteristic is the fact that we are talking about light, so low attenuation of the fiber means that we can attend long distances that is useful for remote locations or for long structures like bridges or pipelines. Additionally, we are talking about silica, so sensors that are intrinsically resistant to harsh environments, but also to high strain and to fatigue cycles, so interesting for composite materials, as we have heard already today here. We measure wavelength, and absolute parameter that can easily be stable throughout time, so there's no drift on the measurement, also very interesting for long-term monitoring applications. And the immunity to electromagnetic and radio frequency interferences. So as we also heard today, this is one of the challenges that we see on many applications. And then I would like to share our experience and some projects where we have been involved in different areas, in civil engineering, in wind energy. We will go over them. So I start with this example. This is a tunnel that is under construction in Sweden. It's an ongoing construction where they are excavating on the rock mass, building these massive pillars that will be supporting the gallery of a station. So after the pillars are built, they will blast the walls, the rock walls, and the pillars will be holding the ceiling of the station. So this whole construction process had to be controlled and monitored in detail. And we basically delivered and installed strain sensors to be embedded on the pillars or to be spot welded to the metallic rebars, and of course temperature sensors as well to make sure that we have stable measurements and temperature compensated measurements. Everything being acquired by our optical interrogators. In this case here we have an MXFS that is part of the QuantumX platform that is transverse to HBK portfolio. Another interesting example for structural health monitoring systems are bridges. For long-term monitoring, most of the times, bridges also have a lot of load tests, but that's not so common with the optical technology because we would not be taking most of the advantage out of the technology. And in this example, we have weldable strain sensors and temperature sensors on the structure. And during the installation, we use our portable interrogator that is a very interesting tool and helps a lot on the installation because it has a computer, it has batteries, so it can be carried around along the structure during the installation. And then for the long-term measurements, again, the QuantumX optical interrogator that we see here with the cables coming out. That can be seamlessly combined with the other acquisition systems for conventional technologies. And we also learned about that today, that it is important that we can synchronize and gather all the information together on the same platform. Another interesting application for the optical and for the fibers is wind, not only offshore, but also onshore. But nonetheless, the offshore is quite relevant because of water and because of the resistance of the sensors, because silica does not corrode. So that's quite an interesting technology for this. And here we can address the different levels of the turbines, from the foundations, the tower, and to the blades, where we have sensors on the blades, for example, composite sensors that are designed for high fatigue and high strain measurements. On the foundations, for example, we have a lot of applications on the monopiles, where the fiber regulating sensors tend to have a very interesting survival rate to the installation. So we are talking about big structures that are piled on the seabed, which is a very harsh process, and we have had very good results here, and also on the towers, with different measurements, strain, temperature, as well as acceleration or tilt. Most of these applications I cannot disclose. This is the example also of the next one, but nonetheless, I think that they are important for us to show the different types of structures that we can monitor. We can also monitor buildings or special structures. This one is an offshore platform, and the purpose was for long-term monitoring. I cannot disclose much further, but we were measuring tilt, so inclination towards the vertical, as well as vibrations on the structure. Another example are the pipelines. Again, long structures, remote. We can have, I mean, it makes sense if we have the sensors in arrays and on the same line along linear structures. It makes sense, the technology. And this is another example where we normally measure strain and temperature, always for the temperature compensation. In this case, I show here a picture of just the fiber with some peak quoting for robustness, but weldable sensors can be used, or composite sensors can be used attached to the surface. Another interesting example, more on the mobile structure side, could be the monitoring of ship hulls. Again, we have some examples of application here. Some of them are in the defense area, so we cannot disclose much. And honestly, we don't know much about the application. We know that they are for this. And here we can use sensors embedded on the structure. We can use sensors glued to the surface of the structure. But always, or most of the times, we are talking about strain and temperature being measured on the ship hulls. This is the type of measurements that we normally take. Just to wrap up, We do see a continuous increase on the interest for structural health monitoring on many different structures. We saw here today mostly focusing on composite structures, a lot of embedded technology and all. But for the other type of structures also, this is gaining interest. The technology becomes interesting as a problem solver for some issues, as we saw today. So I went through the benefits of the technology, and this is where it makes sense to use them. Also interesting is the fact that HBK can deliver a modular solution, so deliver only the sensors or a complete solution, including software or not, or not, depending on the need from the customer side. And another very interesting characteristic of our company is the fact that we can combine the technologies. As we heard this today, it is quite important that we can create the most complex system, complete system with the different technologies. So I just close by letting you know that I am available if you have any questions, if you think that HBK can support you on your structural systems, or if you think that you can support us also on improving our portfolio. I think that all these meetings are very important for that.
Thank you very much, Christina.
Thank you.
For this nice overview, and we have time again for questions or comments. I can perhaps start with a question about the main challenge for HBK when you face an application. Is related with the parameters you need to measure? Is a combination of the parameters with the environmental conditions? Is mainly the environmental conditions to understand vibrations, temperature, and so on. So when you face an application, where do you see the main challenge to find a solution?
When we are talking about strain and temperature on these regular structures, so not talking about the high temperature and the cryogenic, it's quite straightforward. So our portfolio is already quite fitting. Our teams are very skilled on this type of installation, and again we can deliver the full solution or just parts, so also fitting very well the demand. When we go to more special applications, sometimes we need to involve the development department, and that sometimes can be a challenge on making sure that we can meet the expectations in terms also of time to deliver. As it's not off the shelf, it can take a bit longer, and maybe that is one challenge that we face. Other times we are just above the limit of the technology. That also happens. That also happens from time to time. Yes.
We have another question from Andreas, please.
Yeah, Christina, thank you for your presentation. Just a question out of curiosity. So, do you have, as HBK, a group of engineers which are responsible for the installation and the overall process, or did you train your customers? So again, it is just a question out of curiosity.
Yes. No, it's an interesting question, and the answer is we have both. So it's again this modular approach. So we have the team that can do the installation. We can do it almost worldwide. Of course, we have our team mostly located in Europe, so it's much easier to do installations in Europe than in other sides of the world. But we have done it already. We have installations in US, we have installations in China, so around the world. But we also do the training for teams that want to be self-sufficient on the installation. That's also one way of operating. So basically it depends on the needs on who's on the other side.
Yeah, because I understand, especially for these big tunnels and everything, is quite challenging to put the sensors and be sure that everything is correctly installed. And
Yes. And you have to go from time to time because cables got cut, and those type of things happen. and you need to be in close contact with the customer and with the team. In this case of the tunnel, for example, the team is from HBK, the complete team. But on the example of the bridge, it was a mix, so that there was one technician from fiber sensing or from HBK providing support to the installation and training, so that the team that was doing the installation was able to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question? Yes. We have Werner, please.
Yeah, so Christina, thanks.
Hello.
Just one question that we usually get, because I think specific about civil structure is the very long lifetime of 70 years, 100 years, 150 years. So when people ask you, does your sensing technology work for 100 years? What do you tell them?
I tell them that we have experience for 20. I can say that we do. I mean, the expectation is that the technology can withstand the long life cycle of the structures, in terms of choosing the right materials, and doing the proper encapsulation. This is true for the sensors that are embedded, for example. Those that are outside, they might require some, especially if they are more complex transducers than just strain or temperature, they might require some maintenance. And the interrogators, on the interrogator side, we might need some maintenance. It's an electronic equipment, so it might need. Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Werner. And Christina, you also mentioned that you could be open to understand about new technologies for the group. Is there something in particular that you are looking for, or in general, you want to see what is in the market to understand if any of them could be interesting for the company?
I think that there are technologies that are complementing themselves. So in some areas they overlap, but in others they complement. So I think that this is basically what I was looking for in terms of complementing our offering. As we already have the conventional technology, we have the fiber rag rating, but there are other optical technologies that are interesting, the distributed. So that is one example of collaboration that could be interesting on the photonic side. There are others on other sides, but on the photonic side, that would be one example. Yes.
Very good. I don't see any other question. So thank you again, Christina, for the nice presentation today.
No, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
And we still have a couple of minutes before the end of the meeting today. And there was a point that both Ashwin and Tiago mentioned, and is to be cost effective. So I would like to make an open question to both of them. And it's because the easy answer is, okay, manufacturers need to sell cheaper, right? So then that's the easy way. But is there any compromise that between the integrator or the user and the manufacturer can be agreed? So it's an open question for Ashwin and Tiago. I don't know if you have any thought on how can this cost-effective challenge be solved between integrators, users, and the manufacturers?
Do you want to go first?
Should go first.
Okay, Tiago first.
I should go first. I mean, it depends on case by case, right? I think the most important thing to look for is that specifically on Siemens Gamesa, we sell a product, a blade or a turbine. So adding a system to monitor that product shouldn't increase the cost by too many euros, right? Because at the end, our customer is not buying an SHM system, is buying a blade. So the cost of the product shouldn't be affected too much by an SHM system. And, how much it is and how much we can allow, it depends a lot. When we are talking about a wind turbine, we think about millions of euros, right, for a product, or tens of millions. But we care that the system is as cheap as possible and can do the job either way. So it's a very generic reply, right?
But I completely compliment on this. I probably add maybe a few points. I would rather look at it not from a cost effectiveness point. So it's really a cost benefit. No? So I mean, the question is then how the benefit is coming in. What kind of scales are we talking about? The challenge always with structural health monitoring is that the benefits come in far too late. So it's very hard to justify really the benefits that you see in the near term in a lot of the use cases. I have one example from the aerospace side, which is a TRL9 sensor that's flying. The benefit that it sort of brings is really not to improve the structure. So I can give you a little bit of context. So the idea of the sensor is it's a crack monitoring sensor, which is implemented in a critical section of an aircraft, and it's purely monitoring that crack opening under the sensor. The benefit that the let's say the airline sees from the sensor is not really crack monitoring at the first stage, but it's sort of optimizing the way in which inspection is carried out at this particular section. So typical conventional inspection is done using non-destructive testing, eddy current inspection at those specific locations. But these inspections require you to gain access to this area, which takes a lot of time for the maintenance folks to actually go in and do this conventional inspection. So the idea for structural health monitoring in that case is sort of to ease the inspection intervals. So this way the operator, in this case an airline, can quickly take decisions whether to do a maintenance action or to let proceed and fly the aircraft. So you can also imagine the benefit coming from optimized maintenance schedules and so on and so forth, which might mean near term. So it's really a question from my point of view to address what kind of benefits are you looking at from SHM, and what kind of timelines are the end users comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's something you also discuss with your users, Thiago, or with your customers. Is how can they benefit from having some a more reliable blade, or is something that is more internal for you that you want to include sensors that so you can then offer a more reliable product?
Both. But essentially what we want when we install a SHM system is to provide our customers a more reliable product, and most importantly that we can expand the lifetime of the product. Mm-hmm. Like we deliver a product with a certain amount of years of lifetime, and if we have a product that says when we reach those 25 years, we can say, hey, you have 5 more years that you can work with this product. It's value that you had to your own product and to your customer.
Yeah, very good. So thank you for the answers to this final open question. And we are already over 5, so it's time to finish the meeting. So thank you again to all our speakers today, Thiago, Andreas, Ashwin, Krister, Eladio, and Cristina. Thank you very much for the nice presentation, the discussion. I hope all of you enjoyed the presentation. You have here now our poll. So you can spend 1 minute to help us also to improve our online meetings and to understand which are your main interests and how can we modify a little bit our idea of the meetings to be more effective for you in the future. And as I introduced at the beginning, we will be talking again about sensing and fiber sensing in Hamburg in May 26. So I hope to see most of you there. And as I mentioned, I'm open for discussion if case of any doubt or if you want to contribute somehow to the meeting, please feel free to come back to me whenever you have any proposal. And again, thank you to everybody. Good afternoon, and yeah, hope to see you soon.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you, Thiago.
Thank you.
Bye bye, everybody.